I'm sure there are so many people out there who have been asked a million times or a gazillion times by aunties, when are you getting married? Why are you still single? When are you having your first kid? When are you having your second kid? Oh my goodness. Your little child needs a brother or sister. But these are quite common questions, and the most emphasized question is, when you're single, why are you still single? Why are you still single? Or the another popular line is, oh, you should find a good guy and get married. Or rather, it's like said, it's time you find a good guy and get married. I found this quite interesting, and the normal reaction to it is by any person is to get angry and react negatively. Since I found it interesting, I thought I should answer this question, right? I should address the question and be genuine in my answer. So when people asked me, or rather aunties said, oh, you should find a good guy, and I would ask them, who is a good guy? What do you mean by good guy? And in terms of religion, in terms of religious, I would say, so do you mean that if this person goes to this particular place of worship, is a good guy? What if this person is doing that as well as things prohibited, expressly prohibited by a certain religion? And does that make him a good guy? And then, the eyes would lit up because I emphasized on the acts that were prohibited, that certain people do, or acts that seem rebellious in a type of religion, but people do engage in that rebellious act. So the auntie's eyes lit up, and oh my, I can see in their reaction just to say that, oh my god, what is this girl saying? But I found it hilarious and also satisfying because I drove a point. I made them understand that just because you say that, oh, he's a good guy, quote unquote, it doesn't mean, what does it mean, right? You don't just like pick somebody off a shelf and get married, and just label them as a good person, good guy or a girl. So what is a good guy? That's something a question that threw back at these aunties. And I've been having this conversation for like quite a long time with different people, and I think there are so many individuals out there across the world that are doing the same thing that I am doing, which is why at present I have seen a huge change in this kind of chat that aunties have with the younger generation, because they tell, especially the women, they tell the girls, they tell us not to rush into marriage. They tell us to take our own time to get our education, to make our money, to be independent, and then find a suitable partner. They try to minimize using the word good guy, which is, I think, a huge achievement in terms of social talk. It's a huge achievement, and especially when it comes to a cultural country like Sri Lanka, it's a huge achievement. Right? I'm so happy that there is this change and being vocalized and being actually it's present, right? It's not a talk of an anticipatory change, but it's already changed. It's altered. It's done. It's a done thing. So it's just that we have to go forward with this change, expanding the numbers of aunties having the same kind of thinking, a progressive thinking. And to my surprise, even some aunties like just offhand agree that yes, I mean, not all guys would treat you good. I mean, not all guys would be amazing husbands, and you need to have they need to respect you, you need to know the guy, you can't just and a lot of aunties are not in disfavor of proposals because they say you need to know the guy before you agree to get married to this person. I was like, wow, What a huge change, what a huge transformation. This is amazing. We need to celebrate this. We need to actually celebrate this, because for the longest time we've been critical of this auntie talk, and this change is absolutely mind-blowing, and it gives the younger generation freedom to be themselves. And the younger generation today are the future aunties, right? The future women who become aunties, who will end up having conversations. So because of this change, I think the younger generation today will have a better conversation when they grow older, which is beyond wow. Beyond wow, because the future generation, they're going to be very focused. They're going to be very they're going to have their focused and also free to make their own choices that make them happy, truly happy, and not succumb to social pressure, not saying, oh, just because this person is asking me, I have to do this, or the social pressure was there, but now it's slowly deteriorating, which is amazing. So the future generations, they're very lucky, extremely lucky. So shout out to all those aunties out there who took the progressive route and who insist on educating their young girls, who insist on young girls working, having exposure, and taking their time to decide on who they have to get married to, and not just blind-eyed, I do's. It's amazing. So what else do I wanted to say? Yeah, this is just mind-blowing. I'm still mind-blown by this, because I never thought I would live this day. Because it's an instinctual reaction by so many youngsters to be negative when somebody asks you about marriage. But the moment you start this dialogue and actually address why you prefer being single as opposed to being married, it opens up a dialogue to address the issues and to solve those issues, or to find alternatives to those issues, and to look around. Maybe the person, so for example, if somebody is asking you about marriage and you have, say, a reason A because why you're single, and maybe that reason A may not be a substantial reason. Maybe it's just some very not that important. So the moment you address that this is the issue A that you are focused on, people can talk to you that there are other things that you need to look for, and this particular issue A does not carry a significance, a huge, or rather does not impact tremendously to forming a marital relationship. So then you have a different outlook towards it, instead of reacting negatively and shutting out the elders, shutting out these aunties, and just saying, getting angry, getting pissed off, and just being a rebel. No, the moment you start this conversation, they too are willing to learn. It's like, it's not that they are refusing to understand, it's just that nobody has addressed it. So the moment you open this dialogue between the two, there's always a generation gap with different generations. That's going to be there. In the past, in the present, and in the future, there's always going to be a generation gap. And this generation gap is because we are exposed to different environments at different points in time, in different generations. So this creates a generation gap, and a gap in understanding, a gap in exposure. So rather than avoiding the elders, if you can interact with these people who have lived longer than us, who have been exposed to the life's to life's what do I say? How do I say this? To life's trials, they will give you an insight as to how to go about it, and you can tweak it to something that would suit the current position, the current environment we are living in. So instead of completely dismissing them, the moment you engage in dialogues, you're opening up a lot of avenues to come up with a solution. I mean, we need to do this even with the future generations to come. We need to engage in conversation, and we need to talk to them and make them understand what they're going through is nothing. As in, I wouldn't say nothing, but is not they should be able to approach us and address issues, what they're going through. That channel of communication needs to be open, and that is vital, because we have moved into a timeline of where communication is the quality of communication is on a downfall. Like, a lot of people are addicted to the internet, are addicted to instantaneous communication, but not quality communication. Maybe it's hi, how are you? That's about it, There's no in-depth conversation. So the current generation, the current young generation, which is between the years of 20 to say 40, I don't believe in numbers, but I'm just I have to explain it to you. So maybe that can be considered as a young generation, because I'm sorry. So if we can open up the dialogue and have meaningful conversations with the future generations to come, they will have a much better life, maybe better life in terms of mental health, in terms of physical, and I think all all avenues of health, because I'm really sorry, my voice is cracking. So we really need to emphasize on quality communication, because that is the only way we can solve issues as opposed to adding to issues. And I hope you find this sensible, and I hope people do implement this, because as much as we can motivate people to engage in dialogues, we need to do it. We need to practically do it, engage in it. That's when there is progress happening, and we can take things forward as a human race. Toodles!